Hey there! I thought what we would do today is talk about my top 10 favorite fountain pen materials, and the thought came to me when I was using my Leonardo, furore grande in Smeraldo material recently, which is a pen that I hadn't used in a long time. I don't know how long, but long. I hadn't used it in a while, and I was sitting in my office, the pen material caught the sunlight in exactly the right way, and it was beautiful. So I recorded a short video, put it on Instagram, it got 4,000 views, and I thought, I think there's something here. Now this is obviously a very personal overview, but I've selected 10 pens of materials that I absolutely love. I will talk about them. I'll tilt the camera down so you can actually see the pens and not just me waving them around. There will be no writing samples because this is not pen reviews. I'm only talking about the material, and it's going to get somewhat personal about why I like them so much. So if you like that sort of thing, sit down. I know myself, it's 10 pens, it's probably going to be a long video. But if it's not your thing, then this is definitely not for you. So let's just tilt the camera down. Let's see what we can do without wasting any more time. Okay, so let's see what we can do. I have here Pilot Metropolitan. This is not one of my favorite pen materials. I just have it there as a kind of continuous size comparison, even though again it's not really about the pen's shape or size in this video, it's about the material. So let's start off. And again, I will talk a little bit about the pen, and I feel that to explain why I like the material so much, I also need to give a little bit of background for the pen. So this is the first gold nibbed pen I ever bought. This is a Visconti Opera Elements. This they came in 4 finishes. This is the fire. There was also a water where what you see here is red was blue. There was an earth, and which was brown, and there was a wind or a sky or something, and it was black. I found this red absolutely beautiful. It's not a celluloid, it's some sort of material. Visconti had a name for it. I want to say something like acryloid or something, like it's neither acrylic nor celluloid, but something in between. I think it's fantastic. It's also a beautiful writer, but again, I'm not going to really be showing you how the pens write or anything. I'll just show you the material. So I think this is absolutely stellar. I love the barrel. It's almost like a candy cane, right? It looks delicious, but it is not. The cap, I think, is is wonderful too. That I'm not even sure if I would really call it a red, but I struggle a bit to give a name for this color. In any case, I love the depth of the material. There is quite a bit of depth to it. You have these white swirls in it, and I think it's just really beautiful. What I do like is that with the Opera pens, they had a circling the square or squaring the circle. I always forget what the motto was. But it's basically a square pen, but with rounded off corners. So it has an interesting profile. And the nice thing about that is that does show off the material very nicely, because that sort of facet on the corners catches the light really nicely. So a beautiful pen. I wish they had made this an Opera Master size. There was something like it. It was an exclusive, I think, somewhere in Australia, but it was not the red material. It was the more the brown material, which is a beautiful, warm, honey brown. It's a really nice finish too. But I just really, really love this pen. It's probably extra special to me because it was the first gold nib pen I used, and what a nib. It's expressive, it's beautiful in imprint, 14 karat solid gold. I really, really like it. But again, it's the material. There is something really special to me to the material, and I think I would have found it beautiful if the barrel was solid like the cap, but the white and reddish, I'm going to go with that, to me works really, really well. It adds a lot of visual appeal, and again, you can see the chatoyance, you can see how it captures the light. That it's to me, it's just really, really attractive. So I really like this material. There's no particular order to what I'm showing next. Next here I have a Desiderata pens Subri. This particular pen was lent to me by Pierre Miller, who is the owner of Desiderata pens. He makes them along with 2 other pens. I'm just going to take a sip of tea, guys. To review, and I fell in love with this, and I said, how much, basically? And I just published something. I said I want to treat myself for my publication, and in tremendous kindness, Pierre said, oh, you know what, keep it as a gift for your publication, which is really, really sweet. I love this. So first of all, the pen, I think, is great. It's a beautiful shape and size. These are, I've said it before, I will say it again, these are the best threads I've ever seen on a pen, because they're almost flush with the actual section. It's insane how Pierre does this. Nothing is sharp, nothing you get caught on. It's just wonderful. But anyway, it's not a pen review. I love this material, the deep amber. I have found that I have a little bit of a thing for deep amber or brown pens. Might be a sort of a nomen est omen type thing, where it's because of my last name, but I absolutely love it. The depth of these swirls is insane. Look at this swirl as I turn it. See how deep that really goes. So this is the kind of pen that I use, and I absolutely get lost in the material and all the swirls. It's just a beautiful pen to me. And I of course, again, made extra special by the fact that it was a gift from Pierre, but I just love how this turned out. And I'll just unscrew this, the sort of blind cap for a second. You can see it very well here too. I just think it's an absolutely beautiful material. It's almost like caramel. I find that you're melting the sugar and it gets a sort of brown color. You put some butter in and you have these white swirls. Fantastic. I absolutely love it, and I cannot for the life of me remember what this material was called, but I have reviewed this pen. It's a subri. If you're interested in it, I think it was a limited production because Pierre had a limited amount of this material, but in any case, I think I label it there. Speaking of sort of amber with swirls, here is another material I adore. So I'll give you the story of this pen. This is a Visconti Opera Master. I never really understood why they didn't actually label these with Master on the center band. After all, there's enough space. And the regular operas, as you can see, are quite a bit smaller. So to me, it's always been a little weird, but it's okay. All the way back in 2010, I was a young, naive B.R.E. Brown, and I spent my Christmas break learning about fountain pens. And that was because my grandfather had passed away in October of that year, and he left me a fountain pen. And I was trying to learn more about pens. I kind of used fountain pens, but I didn't know much about them. So at that time, on YouTube, there was almost nothing. There was Brian Goulet, who was uploading a lot of things. They really were launching the Goulet Pen Company. And there were a couple of people who had done incidental videos on, well, here are a couple of pens I own, that sort of stuff. But it was not like today, where you have thousands, literally thousands of fountain pen videos on YouTube. One of those videos was from Bertram Ozer of Bertram's Inkwell, and he showed off palladium nibs, palladium nibs from Visconti. And he used this pen, I mean not this particular pen, but this model, the Visconti Opera Master, in the tobacco finish. And he said it was, I think he said it was his favorite finish in that model. I don't know if that video is still up, but in any case, I fell in love with it. It took years to find the pen because it was a limited edition. It was sold out everywhere. At some point, it was actually Aziza who found one, and we ended up buying it. But I think this is an absolutely stellar material too. And the reason I love it, first of all, I love the Opera Master model. This is, I've owned a number over the years. This is the only one I kept. But I love the model. To me, in my hands, it's a perfect size. It's much heavier than you would expect because here is a lot of metal. So it's a lot of people are surprised by how heavy they are. I love this material though. And the reason I love it is it's such an intense dark brown. It's really, I think, amber really kind of cuts it. And again, with profound swirls in it, which I think look really nice. But I just love that deep dark brown, and it's translucent too. So when you cap the pen, you can still see the nib, which is quite nice, but it's not super obvious, not like with a completely clear pen. So I just think it's fantastic. It's so warm. It looks so warm. It's such a beautiful shade. I deeply love it. So a fantastic material. I'm very fond of, on a beautiful pen. And in this case, I said I wouldn't write with it, and I won't, but a nib tuned by Mike Masayama. So he has quit his Nibmeister work recently, but I mean, it's a fantastic writer too. So I absolutely love this pen. Okay, then we get to the pen that started all this nonsense. Leonardo Furore Grande. Leonardo released their flat top Momento Zeros, then we got Momento Zero Grandes at some point, and then we got Furores at some point, and I don't remember at this point if the Furore came first or the Momento Zero Grande came first, but in any case, the Furores are more rounded off, they're more torpedo shaped, and I initially was sent a regular sized Furore, which is more the size of the Metropolitan. And I was really hoping that Salvatore would release Furore Grandes, and he did. And he sent me this one in the Smeraldo material. There is a slightly greener Smeraldo, and there is a slightly bluer Smeraldo. And that regular size, I don't have it anymore, but that regular size Furore was bluer. This one is a little greener. But this is one of the greatest materials I've ever seen. The chatoyance, that sort of, this what you see there, that brightness is out of this world. It's incredibly eye-catching, and it just looks like a roiling ocean. And I can't get enough of staring at this pen. And what I find really powerful about this pen, both Viscontis I've shown you up to this point, I don't know if you noticed that, but the sections were a different material from the rest of the pen. With Pierre's pen, that was not the case. Now, I love it when a barrel and a section are the same material. It's just something I love. And with this Furore, this is the old style section that they used to do. Right now they do something a little different. I still find this very comfortable too. The section matches, and I think it's just great. The continuity is wonderful, and again, the profound depth of this material, the way it catches the eye, I should say catches the light, and then the light catches the eye. It's brilliant. Piston filler, 14K nib, beautiful broad nib. I think they now use Jovo, and this was, I think, still a Bach nib, but with an ebonite feed. Nothing number 8, just number 6, nothing fancy, but it's just beautiful, and I love it. It's an absolutely stellar pen, a fantastic writer, but this is a conversation piece. Like, the people have seen me use this, and almost invariably they comment on it and say, oh, what's that? Why does it look that way? What is that? So, fantastic material that I believe you can still get. Unlike with some of the others that I've shown you, actually all the others I've shown you, this one I think you can still purchase. Okay, what next? Pen 5 out of 10. I'm really trying to not take up all your day. Some pens have a little bit more to talk about than others. Here we have a Magna Carta Elements, and this is Earth. And you see again the theme of brown, orangish pens is borne out. I never really realized I had a bit of a thing for that until I started to really think about it. Anyway, Magna Carta, an Indian pen brand. They make some really cool pens. One of my favorites is the Mag 1000, which I have here. This is the black version, so they make them in fancier materials, but it has a number 10 nib. It's a beautiful nib. Really nice, but that's not what we're here for today. This was an earlier pen they made, the Elements series, and this is Earth. Vacuum filler, which is quite interesting filling system. but I just love this material. It has a humble steel nib that I made a little wetter, and it's a beautiful writer, really, really pleasant, but this material, I just love it so much. It almost, and I don't know if I'm insane, so please comment to let me know if you get this too. I get a bit of a cherry blossoms feeling from this, and that might just be because of the chatoyance, but it always reminds me of cherry blossom leaves slowly falling. Hanami, I probably pronounced that wrong. Hanami, I don't know. You correct my Japanese. I don't really speak Japanese. I just love it. That brown with those bits of chatoyance in it, fantastic. And once again, matching section, which is quite long, just tapers down, but I find it very, very comfortable. Mr. Hiren, who makes these pens, he sent this one to me. Absolutely love it. Ebonite feet too. It's just a joy to use, but it's beautiful. And I absolutely adore the way it looks. I find this such a beautiful, beautiful, warm material. So there we go. The Magna Carta elements. And by the way, another pet peeve I have is the top bit, the finial of the cap. I also like it if that matches the rest of the material. And here again, it's all the same material. I think it's beautiful. Once upon a time, and if I try to date this, I'm fairly certain it was 2015. Walked into Akkerman in The Hague, and Paul, who was then the store manager, said, "I just got in a pen that and it reminded me of you." And then he quickly backpedaled and said, "Oh, not because of the alcohol theme, just because of the size, because this is a weird, finicky pen that's just strange in many ways, and I'll show you why." But I absolutely love it. This is the Visconti Speakeasy. There is the St. Basil, which has gold trim and is a power filler, but it also has a gold overlay of the St. Basil Cathedral. This is the Speakeasy, and it's an alcohol-themed pen, which shows up in a couple ways, but this material I love. So the St. Basil, I don't know if I explained it clearly, same material and same model is what I'm trying to say. That was really weird. Sorry. This material I find absolutely stunning. The red and blue, I think, just works incredibly well. The striations are fantastic. I love it. And what I always found really interesting, I believe this is a celluloid, but I could be wrong. I don't really care that much, because I mean, I just like the material for what it is. Sorry, for what it looks like, not for what it is. What I've always found really interesting is if you look at the cap, so this is number 77 out of 1,000. If you look inside the cap, you have a very interesting pattern of the material. Sorry, it's not the cap, obviously it's a blind cap, sorry, but quite interesting. So why is this alcohol themed? Well, here is a sanitized compartment in the back, which you can put a shot of your favorite alcohol. I mean, I don't drink, so it's utterly lost on me, and I mean, putting a Psalm tea in it doesn't work because it'll just get cold. There is also a ring on it right there, which right now has the Visconti logo, but you can twist this ring and then it says a whiskey, rum, vodka, grappa, it is an Italian pen, right? Cognac, or tequila, or sake. Armagnac not represented, unfortunately, but so you can play with this. And I thought it was fairly hilarious. So you can, again, speakeasy, right? A hidden bar, you have your hidden alcohol compartment. You can just label what was in it. And people will not really notice that ring typically. It's all gimmicky, and yet I find it hilarious. It no longer has the nib on it that came with it. This is one of their new gold nibs that I got from Joost Appelboom at some point, and I just put it on. I love it. A bigger pen, for sure, doesn't really post. But some people have commented a bit on the proportions of the section and the rest of the barrel. I see it. This is one that really needed a number 8 nib, I think, to look more proportional. But the material is so gorgeous. I just love it so much. I love using it. It's so much fun. It was a nice warm summer 2015. We spent some time in a hotel on a beach in Scheveningen, for those in the know. You know what I'm talking about. So it has those kinds of memories of a really nice summer too. But first and foremost, that blue and red is just magical. To me, it works so incredibly well. I love it. Okay, we're 6 down. We have 4 more to go. Here's one. I don't actually think I have a nib. No, I don't have a nib on it right now, so you have to forgive me for that. But here is a Lambrew pen's LB6. This is diffusion bonded acrylic. It's not the first pen in this material I got. That was an LB5, but I chose this pen to show you because it's faceted, and I think that shows off the beauty of the material even more than a round pen. This pen, I got it in Toronto. Andy Lambrew came over to the local pen club. He had a little wooden briefcase full of prototypes, and he said he had one of the LB6s left. And it's interesting, LB6, it's also number 6. These pens are made by Paul Rossi, who has unfortunately passed away. He was an incredibly gifted silversmith and pen maker. There's all kinds of interesting technical details about how I forget if it was the barrel or the cap, but it tapers and it's faceted, so he had to do something with the angle of the facets so they match up. From how I understood the story, only a few people in the world can actually do that well. Paul Rossi was one of them. It's just an overall beautiful pen. The diffusion bonded acrylic came in different colors. The brown is fantastic. The green, purple, there's a white, there is a blue, there's this red. They're all beautiful, but the red has always stood out to me because it pops so much. The layers to this material are just fantastic. These are very expensive pens, but the material is so incredibly stellar and eye-catching that I love it. And one of the things I've always really enjoyed about this, which was almost certainly not the intention as they were designed, but these facets on the cap, they always reminded me of Gothic cathedral windows, and I do love me a bit of Gothic architecture, so I've always really enjoyed that too. I just think it's beautiful. Now, pet peeves are coming in because the section is black. I really wish it was the same material as the rest of the pen. And yes, as I said, it has no nib on it right now. It's a number 8 nib. Looks really good. Very proportional to the rest of the pen. It's just a beautiful pen. Then you have the silver work. So the clip is handmade by Paul Rossi. The LB6s were dedicated to virtues. This is the Passion, so it has flames on it, again made in silver by Paul Rossi. The center band is made in silver by Paul Rossi. Just stellar, and again bigger pen, but that material is just, it's one of my all-time favorites. If I had to pick one absolute favorite material, it would probably be this. Okay, 3 more. And again, it's in no particular order, but here we have a Yardeled Viceroy Grande in the Victorian finish. It was a gift from a viewer, and quite the gift at that, because these are expensive pens. I absolutely adore it. Yardeled is a brand that means a lot to me. 2011, I bought my first Yardeled. A couple have followed, have also been sold again, but here is one that I kept. I just absolutely love it. Solid sterling silver, hand hammered pattern on it, which is beautiful. Every silversmith there makes the pattern a little bit differently. They can identify their own patterns. It's great. Every pen is numbered, so there is on the clip, there is an actual number put in there. It's a smaller pen company. It's been around for a while. They just make really traditional pens, and I mean that in a positive sense. They are timeless, classic, elegant pieces. I just absolutely love them. When you pick this up, the first thing you notice is the weight. It's a lot heavier than you would expect. And that's the pure weight of the silver, right? Matching section. Beautiful nib. This is a broad nib. Fantastic writer. Absolutely stellar, beautiful broad nib. Doesn't skip, doesn't hard start. But it's the love so much. And I don't really have a lot of silver pens, but there's another one that I kind of wanted to show you. I have shown it before. I don't use it an awful lot, but here is the Great Exhibition by Henry Simple, who was a great silversmith. Sorry, zooming out. Enormous pen. It's 8 inches. It's enormous. But I think it's an, I don't know if it's ebonite or an acrylic body that he used, but the silver overlay is just absolutely stellar. And again, this is a number 8 nib, right? So you can see how massive this pen is, that it dwarfs that nib. Henry Simple sadly also passed away, but an incredibly talented guy when it comes to guy is not really cutting it, craftsman, who worked on a lot of things for Conway Stewart. You have C and then S for Conway Stewart in sort of in the overlay. It's just absolutely beautiful. I'm very, very fond of it, and I think it's an absolutely fantastic pen. So the silver I really like too. There's something, again, there's something timeless and slightly vintage in feel to it, which I absolutely adore. Okay, 2 more. The 9th out of 10 that I've selected is a Visconti Homo sapiens. This particular is one of their newer finishes with the red. I think it looks quite dashing. I like it a lot. This was another gift from a viewer, which is very kind, but what makes this material special is that it's actually lava, which I want to say came from Mount Etna, which is weird. It's very strange to hold a pen and realize it was made of lava. Not something that you think of on a daily basis or use on a daily basis, but it works very well. It's a power filler, a lovely nib. This is one of their new gold nibs, which I like a lot. The palladium was fantastic, but it was really hit or miss in my experience. And if it was a hit, it was fantastic, but if it was a miss, it was a colossal miss, and you could barely get them to write. The gold nibs I have found much more reliable, but I just think it's a wonderful pen. It's really cool and innovative to use a material like this for a fountain pen. And again, this is a conversation starter. When people say this, they often ask me, what material is it that looks, it's not plastic, what is it? And when you say, well, it's actually lava, they're blown away, right? Like a volcano. But so anyway, so it's great. It's wonderful, and it works really well. It has a unique feel, right? Because it's not like anything else that people make pens out of. So that works really well. I love it, and I quite like the look of it too. It's this very interesting, dull, deep, dark anthracite. I wouldn't quite call it black, but this incredibly dark gray. I think it looks really, really cool. So I really like these. And then, like my Opera Elements, it has that bayonet closure that Visconti would do. So the cap always lines up, which on a round pen doesn't matter that much, but on a square pen it does. So that's quite nice. Okay, folks, the final one. I've detained you for half an hour, I see, so I'm so sorry, but you know that was going to happen when I was going to start talking. There has to be arco in it. And I sold off my other arco pens. This one I kept because this one is a little special to me. I saw it for the first time. I saw these pens for the first time when they were launched at the DC Pen Super Show. That was in 2017. And but then Armando Simoni Club, now the Pen family. Kind of a resurrection of the Bologna model from Omas, but substantially bigger. Arco celluloid made by Omas is incredibly sought after. There's a brown version, Arco bronze, and then there is a green version, Arco verde. A lot of people love the Arco verde. I like it too, but I don't own any of those pens. I don't really feel a need to own it. I found the brown nicer. Again, I really seem to have a thing for brown pens. The celluloid is stellar. This side looks a little boring, but once you get to the actual sort of wood grain pattern, is beautiful. And yes, you can make the cap and the barrel line up a little bit better than this, but I'm just not going through the effort right now. It's such a warm color. The material is so amazing, and the way this catches the light is insane. Once again, matching section. I love it. Big pen, number 8 nib, vacuum filling system. It just works really well. It's a beautiful writer. It has a nib that is their magic flex, so it's actually meant to give some line variation. It's also a 2-part ebonite feed where the part lifts up a bit, so you still have good connection between nib and feed as you write. I just absolutely adore this pen. So after Manu, he lent me one to review, this one to review. It's 43, so it's one of the sort of earlier ones, and I don't really care about it, but it really is when they were launched. And I just bought it after the review. I fell in love with it so much, I just wanted to have it. Again, beautiful pen, heavy too because of the brass liner in it, so it's really solid. It's great for my hand size, as you can see, but the material is out of this world. So Omas, Arco celluloid, unfortunately has spiked substantially in price. It's incredibly expensive on pens now, which is a shame, but Omas went under. There's only so much Arco, all that kind of stuff. If you can pick one up, you probably should. It's a wonderful material. I don't really see it decreasing in price anytime soon. But beyond that, I mean, to me, pens are not really an investment. I just want to use them. It's just beautiful. And this is one of those pens, it just brings a smile to my face when I use it. So, really, really lovely. Really, really like it. And that's all there's to it. So I've given you my 10 absolute favorite pen materials. There were other materials I could have picked, and I just chose not to. You have to make choices for these kinds of videos. Some I bet you saw coming, some may have surprised you a little bit. But here we are. I hope I've at least entertained you a little bit. If nothing else, maybe it was a bit of eye candy for pen lovers. Let me know what your favorite material is. Not necessarily from this list, but I mean, what is your favorite pen material? I really like to know that. And thank you so much for bearing with me for half an hour and watching the video. I'll gladly see you later.